Hey everybody, this is Cy with the Rambling Film Group podcast. Today I have my co-host with me. We'll go ahead and introduce them. First we got my main man Chuck. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here. Happy to talk with you guys. It's been a little bit, so glad to jump into it again.
Yeah, it definitely has been a little bit since we've done a news episode, which is what we're doing today. And then also we have Chuck's lovely wife, my favorite person on the planet actually, Kelsey. How are you doing today, Kelsey?
Hi guys, good.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first topic that we're going to talk about today actually came out yesterday, but Chuck didn't mention to me that he's seen it, so I'm going to kind of surprise him a little bit here with what it actually is. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. People who are watching the podcast, you guys can go ahead and see it as well. But this is mainly for Chuck. I just want to see the little smile on his face as he watches this.
A little smile.
Actually, I guess I can't see your smile because I have to stay on the screen that it's on instead of like looking at you.
Well,
so
you can watch it after the fact, and then you'll be able to see it.
I can record his face.
Send it to me in a text. All right, give me just 1 second here. We'll go ahead and get this started.
I'm excited.
I'm curious what this is going to be. I'm trying to think of what I missed.
What did you miss?
I don't know.
All right, so can you guys see yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Can you guys see a black screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Who are these new guys?
No, I didn't see it, but I remember hearing about it coming out.
Why are they here? What is their place? In a world without a Superman. The Man of Steel is dead. We saw the body. It's time for human beings to stop relying on leagues and titans and start saving ourselves.
I can give each of you the power to be your own hero.
Clark's body disappears, and suddenly these new Supermen show up out of the blue.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Superman. There is only one Superman.
You look like Superman, but Superman died in my arms.
For my people, death doesn't have to be the end. Terrible things are coming, Lois. I can feel it. We gotta be our own heroes. We sure as hell could make some noise. When the Daily Planet said Superman is dead, it painted a target on the Earth.
How do we even begin to fight that?
Good brain. Fun.
Well, all right. If you could not tell, that was the trailer for the upcoming Reign of Superman, the second part of what was the first part called? Death of Superman, right? So yeah, I figured Chuck, if he had watched that, he would have mentioned it to me. So have you seen it yet?
I forgot. I did see that it came out, but I just forgot about it over the course of the day. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm for the part one basically was great, and I'm excited to see this part two, to see it follow up, see how closely, because the first one reasonably closely follows the comic book storyline, probably more so than any other Doomsday, with the live action or anime thing that we've seen before. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm ready to see the next chapter. I wish I would have said the date it's coming out, because I didn't see anything right then.
I mean, that doesn't have the date, but I'll have to look it up because they have already announced the date. It comes out early next year. I want to say it's like February or March of next year.
Oh, that's not too long at all.
Yeah. So it's definitely coming soon. But yeah, it is kind of weird considering they already announced the release date that they didn't add it to the trailer, because I was waiting for it to show it. But I am excited for it as well. I will say the only one issue I kind of have with what seems to be a major part of the story is they're saying that when Superman died, it kind of sent like out a signal to the universe and it put a red flag on Earth. And my thing is, okay, yeah, Superman died, but there's all these other superheroes here on Earth. Why would you still attack? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get Superman is Superman, but we also know that Aquaman is just as strong. So is Wonder Woman. They may not have the same powers, and he may be a little bit more stronger. But I feel like the Justice League together, you can kind of make up for Superman as a together, if that makes sense.
Only thing I would say is at the same time, in the same, like in part one of these things, that did happen with Doomsday, and at the end of the day, it only Superman was the one to take him down. So if someone can amass power to that extent, whether it's in one being or it's like a collective of, a race or something like that, it does open the window a little bit more. Just kind of like, yes, I'm going to reference it, but like Justice League, they kind of reference that in the live action movie, where him being dead now, that makes it. It's a similar thing to like when Thanos chose to attack Earth in Infinity War. Yeah, he could have probably been fine regardless, but in the state of the MCU at the point, the Avengers were fractured and people were spread out and separated and everything like that. It's just, it's still an undertaking for sure, but it's a little bit better timing for a villain to try to do something then.
Is that why Thanos decided to attack Earth? Because I thought it was just like, well, I have another stone. It's time to go get the rest.
So Thanos actually attacked because there was the death of who was the head wizard before Doctor Strange?
The Ancient One?
Yeah, so there was her death. And then there was the destruction of Asgard. And then there was a third one. So there were like three things that Thanos, like, it's not mentioned in the movie, but the Russo brothers have mentioned that is why, like, he's monitoring the universe and he sees these things happen, and that's why he decides, because he knew where, like, he didn't know where all of the stones were, obviously, but he knew where some of them were, and he knew where to get the rest of the knowledge, but he also understood that he wasn't going to be able to do it with the Ancient One around, and he certainly wasn't going to be able to do it with all of Asgard around. That would have made it a lot more difficult. So that kind of played into why and when he attacked.
I would think Civil War would be part of it too, because just
he doesn't really know, outside of the only connection he has personally to the Avengers is through Tony.
And I thought since that's one of the main people that, like, the rift starts between those two. So I thought since he could be like, oh, that's pretty good.
It certainly could be, but that's not what the Russo brothers mentioned.
No, I thought for sure that was like one of the other events that was referenced, but now I can't remember what the other one was. I thought it was. I
don't think that's the third. I very well could be wrong, because I certainly can't. I know there is a third one, and that one does make sense. I just will say that probably is it. I feel like I probably am wrong on that one.
He doesn't think so.
I don't remember it, but I also can't remember all three events either. So
I just remember those two, but I would assume that the connection between him and Tony, mentally being there, because I mean they can't see everything between each other, but there are certain things that they've been able to, like, see in each other, oddly, because even that's not really fully explained how that works. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if, yes, that is the third thing, and I'm just kind of forgetting that Thanos kind of saw that. But the major ones were the Ancient One and Asgard.
Which makes sense, for sure.
And then he, found out Doctor Strange was actually a little bit stronger, probably than, well, not yet, but he will be stronger than the Ancient One.
Did you share your thoughts?
What were we talking?
The Superman.
Writing of Superman. No, I mean, basically what you guys said, it was, I mean, I'm excited. I really enjoyed the first half, apart from, like, one little thing, and then, yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see, like, all of these Supermen.
That's
I know they're not all actually Superman, but do you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like,
That's
really fun to
another, and that's another reason why I'm kind of iffy why people would start attacking, because now there's like 5 Supermen, and it sounds like collectively, or it sounds like collectively they might even be a little bit stronger than just one Superman. So why, again, to me, it doesn't make sense that there is suddenly a surge that they're going to come attack Earth because the one Superman's gone. But I will admit, DC has done no wrong when it comes to the animated movies, so I'm not really gonna have that one thing just be like, oh my god, I really don't want to watch the movie now. That's not it.
Yeah, no, the animated movies are fantastic.
Yeah. And actually, the next subject I'm kind of gonna attach to this. It is moving a little bit forward in the list, but it is connected.
Yeah.
With the success of the DC animated movies, I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on what your thoughts were about Marvel relaunching their animated universe. Because I think they launched it back in 2000. It was after DC. I want to say it was like 2009, 2010, and they only did a handful of movies. Like, I don't even think they did 10 movies. And then they just stopped. And granted, it was because they were focusing on the MCU. But would you guys like to see animated Marvel movies, considering how good the DC animated movies are?
Honestly, I'd say they've got such a handle on their live action stuff. They just keep focusing on that. Keep that content coming. Because I mean, for me personally, I might start to feel. If they try to put a big emphasis on it, I might start to feel a little overwhelmed with it, because if that would just so much content potentially trying to be aware of and see all the time. Because if it's good, then yeah, I want to check it out. Unfortunately, we got the situation with DC where they don't put out as much, plain and simple, and then there's also potential disparities between live action and animation. So yeah, I guess that would be my thing. They just got an amazing thing going with live action. Just keep focusing on that and keep seeing especially I think we're all sold on not only what they've done so far, but now it's gonna be what is next? What did they do? How do they top themselves with this? So I would think they've got more than enough to focus on with live action. Yeah, I would say animation doesn't really need to be. I mean, especially since we already even had it come up recently that they're going to start doing live action shows with some of these characters from the MCU that haven't gotten as big a moments or as much focus in the MCU. So they've got our attention and just everybody's, honestly, media, everybody. On bated breath for everything they do live action. So I would focus with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would be for sure open to it. You're saying it is a lot of content, especially with the new, TV shows and stuff. So my thing is I guess I just would want, the DC animated movies are such a different feel, and there's just more, depth in their use of characters and stuff in the animated movies than the current DC universe, and so that's kind of why I appreciate the animated movies. So if Marvel can do that, because I know that there's so many characters who are not being used, or at least not being used comic book accurately. That's not to say that it's bad or anything like that, but just certain characters have been given a larger role than they're typically afforded in comics. And so I think if they do something like that, that could be kind of fun to see, because then it's still distinct enough from the TV series that's going to be coming out and the actual cinematic universe. So as long as it's not basically the same type of stuff that's going on, I'd be interested to see it, because this is something that I'm interested in general. So if they're going to tell new stories, different stories, things like that, then yeah, I'm sold.
I got you. There are kind of 3 reasons I would personally want to see it. It couldn't just be they did it to did it. They did it to do it is the correct way to say that, I think.
I did it to did it.
But the first reason, or the first thing would have to be, it would have to be characters that they don't plan on putting in the movies, and they don't plan on putting it in like the live action series on the streaming site. You can still use the streaming site for them. Also, me personally, I wouldn't mind if they went with kind of like darker characters that Marvel has that Disney doesn't necessarily want to put them in the live action form for whatever, because Disney's Disney and they don't want to show too much violence. You can just get away with a lot more with animation. And then I guess I kind of said all three in one would be, the characters would have to be ones that they don't use as often. The second part of the characters would be, I would like it for be darker Marvel characters. And then the third thing would be, you could still use the streaming service to put them out there like Disney is already planning on doing, just more so with live action stuff than animated.
Yeah. As long as it's different stuff with different people that are being shown now, I'm interested. Yeah. I just don't necessarily want to see an Iron Man movie when we already have 4 or however many we have.
Right, and I think that's why they stopped doing the animated movies before, because it was an Iron Man movie, it was a Hulk and Thor movie, it was a Doctor Strange movie, and so they were already characters that Disney was planning on doing live action, so it didn't really make sense to continue doing them animated. But if you want to give me like a dark Squirrel Girl animated film, I might be I'm kind of just pulling a character out of my butt, yes. But like I would kind of be interested in that. I don't know why Squirrel Girl was the first character that's like in my head. The one that you just went with, but
the dark version of it.
But yeah, so I don't know. It depends what they do, but it could be interesting or it could be redundant. It all just depends.
And I think another reason why DC's animated stuff is such a big deal is because the live action movies just overall haven't been fans haven't liked them that much. So it gives another lane for DC to collect money and for fans to enjoy the characters that they like outside of just reading a comic book.
Yes.
But anyway, other than that, I just wanted your guys' opinion on that because I saw somebody asking that a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So we will see.
Alright, so this is the topic that infuriates me the most on this list. But anyway, the studio... hold on, I got like a notification that popped up right over the studio name, Technology. But anyway, the studio, Legendary, they're planning on producing another notification. Another live action movie, or they're planning on producing a live action My Hero Academia film. I'll just go ahead and vent like right off the bat. Yeah. Here are my stipulations for this film. Yeah, All Might should be like the only white character in the movie. Except for the girl, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but her quirk is invisibility. And in this world, you can't turn your quirk off. So she's always invisible. The only time you can see her is when she's in her uniform. So, I mean, you could really cast her as, she could be a dude, and, it wouldn't really matter. But, as far as the nationality of these characters, All Might is really the only one that makes sense to be American. And that's just looking at his character overall, the way he looks, and kind of the things he does as a superhero. Like, whenever he punches something, depending on how powerful his punch is, he'll name it after American states. So that, I wouldn't really mind. But other than that,
he wasn't American, and he's like, I don't know, some type of like Eastern European country, and they're just like Texas.
So I mean, yeah. Other than that, please don't whitewash this movie because I really like the content. I like the manga, and it's very rare that I like the manga, the anime, and any of the additional movies that they put out, because they recently came out with an animated movie a couple of weeks ago, actually, and that was amazing. So those are my stipulations for that. Please don't ruin it like you did, other stuff that shall not be named.
Is it set in Japan?
It's not very clear, but I want to say yes.
Okay. Because that's like the big deciding factor for me with like how you cast. So for like, to me, something with Dragon Ball Z, like when that's done again, live action, I feel like you can cast whoever you want to cast. Because at the end of the day, they're playing aliens. They're playing Saiyans for the most part. So for
it depends on the character.
What's that?
Again, it depends on the character. I don't want to see Tien as a Texan.
I got you. I was gonna agree with you. I feel like basically all I was saying. I feel like it's more open. Like you can do more things with it, And like another example, another anime I loved. If you did Yu Yu Hakusho, that is set in Japan, 100% in Japan. So if you did it, you either need to just set it to Japan, or you're doing just an Americanized version of it, and that's not really necessary.
Now, I will say this. I understand, and I get your opinion on it, and I, like, for main characters, for, Goku, Gohan, Trunks, Vegeta, like, I get it. Especially when they go Super Saiyan, they're blonde hair with blue eyes. Like, I'm sorry, you don't really see that in Japan a lot. But the creator has stated if there were to be a live action, he would prefer that characters be of Asian descent. So I kind of lend more leeway to what the creator wants, as opposed to what I visually see. Don't get me wrong. When you look at Goku, I don't traditionally see just your average Asian person, and also when you look at the planet Earth that they're on, I don't see Japan just everywhere. But if that's what the creator wants, I'm kind of going to go with him.
That's something to have in consideration for sure. At the very least, wishes to be considered from someone.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely a complicated issue. I'm just saying with an anime or other animes that are kind of more in their own world, like Dragon Ball Z. I think both sides of the issue can understand. There's a little bit more leeway to work.
I'll also say this, and then I'll let Kelsey go. I'm sorry. I think you also have to consider the fan base. Considering how botched the first one was, I think if you were to whitewash it again, it would, even if it was a great movie, it would distract from people wanting to go see it, because it would just be like, oh, they're doing this again to a story, a franchise that I love. I don't even want to go see it. So I think you have to, put that into it as well. You have to look at how people reacted to the previous version, because people's reaction wasn't just the fact that it was a terrible movie. It was that it was blatantly whitewashed. And so that, I think if you were to do it again, you kind of have to put all that into, how you cast these characters.
That's fair.
I don't really have anything to add here. I mean, basically that's kind of what we say for any time that somebody's trying to make a live action out of an anime. Like, don't whitewash it. It's a good story, so stick to the story. Don't just butcher it. And that's really all that people want. Like that's true. It really shouldn't be this difficult to make something good and successful.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say, with the story, I will say, at least what we've seen recently, especially with the Bleach live action, I know neither one of you guys have seen it, is it's not really a remake of the traditional Bleach anime story or the manga story. They kind of do take they make it their own, and they do take some liberties, and fans still love it. So I mean, as
long as it's still in line with what the original was, and who the characters are, and decisions that they would make, or you know what I mean, things like that. That's fine. It's when all of a sudden characters who would never act the way that they act are doing this. That's when it's an issue where you're like, this may as well not even be from the same like source material because
Right.
I don't recognize any of these people.
I would agree with that as well. But anybody got anything else? I know you guys haven't started My Hero Academia yet, so you guys probably don't have much to say about it getting a live action movie. But you definitely should start it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like
with everything that's going on with it right now, it is a good time to start.
I was gonna say, by the time like we get a casting announcement or someone has come on to direct, we'll for sure have started.
So, next subject we have here is Disney they're thinking about rebooting Pirates of the Caribbean, even though the last movie came out just last year.
That's what I said.
And the rumor is that if they, and again, I don't know why this really had to be said. I assume when you reboot stuff, you kind of just clear it. But I guess when you're paying an actor that much money, they might continue the reboot. But anyway, they're also thinking about not continuing with Johnny Depp.
Which makes sense if you're going to continue with him. It's just another movie in the same
Well, you could do a
universe.
soft reboot, but
Yeah, I don't see John. I like it. It just for that big of an actor and a character in that series, I don't see keeping him even being considered a soft reboot.
The thing is, too, is like his character of Jack Sparrow is kind of iconic in the pirate world. Like, if you're thinking about anything that involves pirates ever, like Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow comes up. He plays that role well. So it'd be kind of crazy to keep him on and not consider it a reboot, given that that's like the most well-known thing. Even if you've never seen any of the Pirates movies, you probably know that fact.
That would be me. I've only okay, I shouldn't say I've never seen any of them. I just stopped watching them after like 2.
That's fair.
yeah, completely.
That's fair. I saw the third one, so I stopped watching after 3. I didn't see from then on.
Yeah, I didn't care at that point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So yeah, so my opinion, I don't know why the hell we're getting a reboot. It's like Sai said, the last one came out last year, so I think it's a little early for a reboot. And then, yeah, I just don't know. I feel like this is just like a cash grab. Like, hey, this did really well for us before. Like, let's just start over. And that I hate things like that. You guys know how I feel about. That's part of my problem with like so many remakes being happening because I don't think. People want cash and are greedy, and I think it's just a waste of time. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
But
Chuck, did you?
I really have nothing to say on it. It's yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have said it all, and the only thing I was going to say is the last one came out last year. That's all I got to say.
And on that topic, I mean, I mentioned this when we posted it on the Facebook page. Is I feel like if you're gonna do a reboot, it has to be close to a decade to consider a reboot. It can't be a year and you're considering a reboot. Now, unless this is just they're thinking a decade ahead of time, and the reboot's not gonna happen for like 6-7 years. But if that's the case, why even talk about it? Why leak it? It just doesn't make sense to me.
especially like stuff so in depth of like. Also, we don't really want Johnny Depp. Like,
Right.
if this is something that's going to be done 7 years from now, it should probably be clear that he's probably
Right.
not going to be part of it. Because at this point, if you make this movie, like you start production within the next 2 years, it's still going to be a sequel. Whether there was the same cast or not, unless there is something that explicitly states, like, in an alternate universe, I'm still going to think it's still about pirates in this universe. It's just not any pirates that I know.
I would agree with that.
I think this is dumb. Sorry.
I think we all can agree with, yes, this is a very dumb decision, Disney. Alright, next topic we got here. I don't know if you guys watch this show on Starz, but it is very popular. So it came out today that there is a possibility of the TV show on Starz Power getting a spin-off that would also go to Starz. After the showrunner Courtney Kemp, she landed a multi-year deal with Lionsgate. If you guys don't watch Power, it has Omar. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his last name, but it has Lala Anthony in it, and then the biggest one, who is also a co-writer, executive producer, whatever, is 50 Cent. Even though they were, never mind. Okay, I'll just say spoilers if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't watched the current season. They kill 50 Cent, and it sounds like he's not coming back. So.
No, I haven't watched it. I don't have stars.
Yeah, we don't have
stars. It hasn't been a big enough thing for me to be like...
It's really good. I would say it's actually quite big. It's really...
I know, I've heard that.
It means like big enough for us to like add stars to our package when we don't have anything.
Okay, yeah, no, it's not that big. Never mind.
That's what we're saying.
I was actually trying to say, there hasn't been a big enough pull in what I've heard about it for me to be like, let me go watch.
Like cost, like let's just add stars.
I mean, that's also true.
Because I think if we're gonna add something, it'll probably be HBO.
Yeah.
And at that point, you guys can just use mine. I get it for free.
I think you can add it through like Prime too.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
really
you can.
cheap.
So yeah, I think it's an excellent show. If me and Chuck ever get time to like sit down and do Plex, I can show you how to download it and watch it for free, not even have to worry about stars. But it is a fantastic show. It's fantastically written, and it's a very interesting story of urban America in the 21st century and drug dealers in the 21st century. But I would be curious where the spinoff, whether it's, I would assume it would have to be a prequel spinoff just from how the story is as of right now. There aren't really any characters that I can think of that I would want to see outside of all the other characters. And there's not anybody that I would want to see like maybe 5 to 10 years from where we are now in Power to see what happened to them. Again, outside of the main characters. But
did it say that it's going to like involve a main character, or is it going to be something that's still like taking place in the universe? It's just different characters. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't really say it all. It just says that there's a possibility for a spinoff because she got this lucrative deal with Stars and Lionsgate. But the lucrative deal could also mean that she's just going to make a new show altogether. Like, it won't even be related to Power. So,
right.
But I just found that interesting, and for people who do watch Power, thought I'd put it in there. So the next topic we got here is Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy recently confirmed that the Boba Fett movie has been canceled, and they are going to go ahead and shift their focus to the Mandarin show.
Mandalorian.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say.
Very different show, potentially.
Yeah, very different show. But you guys want to? When do you guys want to go ahead and start it off?
You want to go first?
I mean, you guys know how I felt from the last talk about this Boba Fett movie. I wasn't really interested. I didn't think it was a character that needed a spin-off, and I'm kind of exhausted from the Star Wars universe movies anyway, because it's something that I love, and it hasn't been great overall, and so it's just been really annoying. But I was excited for the Mandalorian show because it's different than what we're doing, and then the people involved I'm really excited about. So I'm fine for this because I had no interest in seeing this movie anyway. So I think it's a great call, especially since they're still kind of doing the whole galactic bounty hunter type thing. Like, the theme's still basically the same-ish, right, for both of them. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Anyway.
You want to go? I'll go.
Or I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care that they canceled it. I wasn't really interested in the first place. I will say it makes me least interested, or a little bit less interested in the show now, because if you're going to be canceling this to focus on that kind of confirms to me that the show is going to be like what a Boba Fett movie or what a Boba Fett show would be, and I didn't really care for that either. So if this show is going to kind of be in that vein, a bounty, I know they said it's kind of like it's a little bit different, and it's a gunslinger, not a bounty hunter. I'm sorry. To me, that just screams the same thing. So it kind of again, it just makes me less interested in the show a little bit because it just confirms that the show is going to be what I thought it was going to be about, and I wasn't interested in that to begin with.
My big thing is when I rewatch the original trilogy.
Yeah.
He's not a big character. If that's what you're going to go with.
I just don't get how did this mystique start? Like, how did he become such a
from
outside
figure
from other things that are canon?
Well, the biggest thing is the first time we actually see Boba Fett is in one of the most botched Star Wars things ever, and it's a Star Wars Christmas special from 1977, 1978, and so that's actually the first time we're introduced to Boba Fett, and it's kind of just one of those lore things where nobody really talks about the Christmas special because it was just that bad. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that Mark Hamill a lot of times will say that he doesn't even remember making it because he just doesn't want to talk about it. And then also on the cosplay side of things, Boba Fett is probably one of the most identifiable characters just by look. Yes, he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but when you look at your generic Jedi, they dress alike, they look alike. Same thing with I wouldn't say the same thing with Sith Lords because their faces are typically very different. But Boba Fett, yeah, and there's not as many of them, especially with Kathleen Kennedy ruining Star Wars canon. I just hate what she did to Star Wars canon when Disney bought it. But anyway, I won't go into that. Hey!
You see her cone?
Cone.
So she's in her cone to shame.
Just a little bit. Just out of frame. There you go.
So yeah, I think to answer your question about why Boba Fett kind of caught on, because yes, he's really not an important character in the movies at all. He has fantastic comic books, cosplay. He's probably one of the more interesting and identifiable characters to dress up as, and then also just his introduction into the Star Wars world is kind of a hilarious story because of that botched Christmas episode. Look, she's gonna be there, and we're just gonna have to live with it.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to get her to lay down, so she just wasn't just looking. Now it's just a little bit of a cone popping up. It's not the whole face, just looking out in the cone, looking sad. So I just go ahead and lay her down.
So just want some love. She's not feeling good. She's all cummed up. But yes. Anyway, so do you have more thoughts other than you don't understand why this was happening to begin with? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I guess I was really just speaking to I am curious when he became popular because I would think there wasn't enough out of when he was in Empire Strikes Back, and certainly not from Return of the Jedi.
I think it's from outside sources outside the film.
That's fine. That's fine.
So.
So that makes sense.
Because I know he has a bigger role, just like Captain Phasma has a bigger role outside of the film.
Right.
So people, she's a beloved character too,
right.
And not. I think
yeah,
so.
she is.
People love her, not from the films because the films she basically is Boba Fett. She's in there for maybe 7 minutes total in all movies.
That's part of the reason why people hate it when Disney purchased Lucasfilms and the right to Star Wars is they got rid of all the pre-episode 1 stuff.
Yeah.
And people hated that because there are some fantastic stories, whether it be comic books or books. There are some fantastic stories in there. But now Disney has kind of decided that unless they say it's canon, it is not canon.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yes. Anyway.
And that kind of, I guess I'll skip ahead again because this is more Star Wars talking. It speaks to the canon issue. But the new Star Wars canon has added its first female Sith Lord, in the Darth Vader number 22 comic book that came out recently. Her name is Sith Lord Momin, Momin. I'm not sure how they want us to pronounce that.
Yeah, I like Moment.
Yeah.
Better than Mom in, because I don't like that. I don't want the first female Sith Lords, like, to have half of her name have the word Mom. Mom in. Like, that's not threatening. I'm not threatened by Mom in.
So yeah, they have introduced, it's not the first female Sith Lord ever, but in the new Star Wars canon, it's the first female. Yes, it is now. So I thought that was interesting. Again, stepping into an age where we're getting, more diverse characters, more women and stuff. And I like to see women play evil roles. Like I feel like women a lot of times get characterized as like the sweet, innocent, or like the obviously like the heroine, or they have to be rescued. I'm kind of tired of that. Let me get a chick who's crazy and wants to kill me.
I like that too. But plus, I feel like, women are manipulative. So let's be real now. We're manipulative. So let's see some manipulative villainesses.
Yeah, you could just say villains.
I like to say villainess, like lioness.
Okay, I'm just saying. I don't think.
No, I don't.
I think villains actually pretty
general. It is. I was just messing around. But you're right. Like the damsel in distress, or just the classic heroine. Like it's nice. But it's exciting to see the first female Sith Lord in canon. Like, yay, Star Wars. Way to come into this age.
Technically, yay Disney, I guess, because Star Wars technically has a ton of women Sith Lords. They're just not canon.
Yeah, okay, well, yay Disney, you did it.
I was going to say, just thinking in Star Wars, me personally, I had been hoping that in the Last Jedi, we were going to see the protagonist and antagonist flip. And
yeah, so that would have been good.
Rey.
I was really hoping Rey was going to go evil, and what's his name was coming back, Kylo Ren.
But,
I get why they didn't, because it's been kind of done before, and it was slightly expected. But as far as like seeing a woman on the big screen in Star Wars be the protagonist would have been amazing to see, and I think Rey would have killed it.
And my thing was just like, it would have been cool to see a female, but also like, Kylo Ren isn't a big threat to me. I'm threatened by Rey, and so it would have been a bigger like, wow, we have a villain, like a legitimate villain, one who struggles with, or one who doesn't struggle with, should I be good or should I be bad? So I think that was a big thing for me too. I was like, yeah, hopefully we're going to get like somebody that I believed is actually, but no, that's not happening. We're sticking with Kylo, who is.
Oh man, don't get me started on that one. But
save that for later days.
Yeah, but so I technically haven't read the comic book yet. It is on my to read list, but I have like so much other stuff on my to read list that I'm just not there yet. But if anybody who's listening or watching, if you have read it and you want to give us your opinion on that that specific comic book, I would love to hear it. And to get people's opinion on the new introduction to a female Sith Lord in what I will call the Disney Star Wars canon.
There you go. I like that, the Disney Star Wars canon.
But let's see. Anybody else have anything to kind of add to those two Star Wars subjects?
No.
Were you saying her name again and how you want it to be said?
I said it in the opposite way. I said Mamin. Because Mamin just sounds like something that like new moms would describe as like. I feel like it's like a hashtag,
mom.
Like hashtag I'm Mamin. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I get it.
That's what it sounds like to me. So I'm hoping it's pronounced Moment. I have no idea. But
yeah, I have no idea either.
If I had to say.
If you know, by chance, if you know how they want us to pronounce this, definitely let us know, because I am curious.
Yeah, I have no idea. And it's not pronounced Moomin. There's only a single O.
You don't know.
It's single O.
It's an alien name. You don't know.
Yeah, it is an alien name, so it could be Moomin.
We don't even know.
What do you think? It's like Martian? I don't know.
All right, anyway.
No, I kept the N.
Oh.
The N.
Next subject.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Next subject. Netflix, they're on their canceling spree. Normally, I'm not gonna lie. I think is this probably like the first year where Netflix has just like cut the heads off of a ton of stuff at once. Because normally you see that with like just regular, ABC.
Yeah.
So I think this will probably be more common moving forward with them wanting to be have more original content. But anyway, the subject is Netflix. They have canceled American Vandal. It will not get a third season, despite season 2 having a 97 approval rating on Rotten Tomato, and that's a fan approval rating. That's not
Yeah. Man, this is a show where like it's one of the rare occasions where like the second season is even better than the first season, in my opinion, and the first season is great. So the second season is just amazing. So never did I imagine coming off of that that we would, like a month later be hearing it's no more on Netflix. And like we said, it's probably much more in terms of like Netflix just wanting to own its own content versus the show wasn't working for them. I would guess at least because man, everything I saw about it is positive and deserved positive buzz for that show. Which makes me ask, side have you?
I haven't finished it yet. So
have you watched any of it?
Oh yeah. I finished the first season. I just haven't finished the second season.
Okay, we haven't actually ever talked about it.
The first season was great. I thought it was fantastic, which got me even more excited for the second season. Considering I knew what the second season was like about, it just sounded hilarious, and how they did the first season kind of got me hyped up for what they could do with the second season. So I don't want to say the Marvel cancelings were surprising, because they really weren't, but considering how successful overall the Marvel shows have been, it was a bit of a surprise that they canceled both of those, especially Luke Cage, when they did. I will say this is by and large the most surprising cancellation of this year, and probably the most surprising cancellation that Netflix has done to date.
Yeah, it won a Peabody for its first season. I learned this recently, and it also had it was nominated for like best writing for the first. So we'll see if it still might get nominated, because it was, again, in my opinion, it was even better this season. So it might get more nominations and everything. But also, so it's like I said, it was a co-production with Netflix and CBS Studios. The people from CBS Studios are shopping it around and hoping somewhere picks it up.
And I was thinking, because I was about to ask, was it CBS? Because I'm thinking, why not just put it on CBS All Access?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'm super hopeful, because I feel like this is another kind of Brooklyn Nine-Nine situation where obviously it hasn't been on as long, but it's got enough of a following, I think, and enough like credibility that I'm very hopefully optimistic that somebody will be like, hey, this is let's see what we can do here, because this was something pretty special, I feel like.
That being said, I don't want it to be something where it switches networks or it does somewhere else, and then it's all just ruined.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that either. I would rather, if it's going to lose its stuff, I would rather just end it on 2 good seasons.
I'm good. How are you, Sai?
I'm doing good, baby.
That is true. That is 100% true.
Because, I don't want to screw up the situation where it comes back and it's just like god awful. It's not barely about the same thing. Not in the same place.
Yeah.
Don't do what, Disney did when they picked up Doug back in the 90s, okay?
I never knew they did, like, additional Doug. I don't remember that.
So Doug was, I might be flipping it, but it was either originally on, I'm pretty sure it was originally on Nickelodeon, and then it went to Disney, and they did it for like an extra season or 2, but Disney tried to take control over it, and the creator was no longer like happy doing it, and you can kind of see that in the work. And so like the last 2 seasons of Doug aren't good because it switched networks.
See, that's not what I want, because then that's just going to ruin it. There's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. I would rather just, if it's going to be that way, hopefully if they do shop it around, they can keep the same writers, the same creative people in control and stuff like that. But we'll see.
Yep.
That's hard to do when you're trying to sell something. Be like, hey, we want to give this to you, but we also still want to be in complete control. How do you feel about paying us much money?
And
like it's kind of hard to sell like that.
Right, and that's why I feel like CBS All Access kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, that's good. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I think that does make.
Let's see, what do we got next? So speaking of CBS All Access, this is kind of, again, perfect segue. There is going to be an animated Star Trek show coming to CBS All Access. It will show the less glamorous side of Starfleet. It is being developed by Mike McMahon, the head writer for Rick and Morty. So it will be a adult animated comedy, if people didn't realize that by who's developing it.
Yeah, that seems like that could be funny.
Yeah,
that seems like that's a fun world to kind of play with. So there's a lot of potential.
Plus, I mean, you could do a lot like with the characters and stuff, and then just the environment itself lends itself to being like you can just do a bunch of crazy crap, which is something this person is obviously good at doing and coming up with. So,
yeah. I'm excited for it. I honestly wasn't excited for it until I saw that the writer for Rick and Morty was involved. That's when I was like, oh, okay, I might actually watch this. Because I'm not a huge Star Trek show fan. I like the movies, but the shows I could really care less for. And thinking about it, with it being animated, it also, you have more leeway. It also, you have the ability, because there's so many different captains in Star Trek and different Starfleets. With it being animated, you have the ability to kind of tell stories of different Starfleets and not have to worry about scheduling with these actors, because all they really have to do is come into the studio, record their voice for a couple of hours, and you're good. So it makes storytelling a lot easier too.
Yeah, so a lot of potential there. We'll see when it comes out and everything, and we get more word on who's being cast and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing more information about it.
Let's see. Next, Alan Tudyk is set to voice the Joker for the Harley Quinn animated series that's going to the DC Universe streaming website. Joker.
You want to know the role I always think of him from? I know he's in, because this came out not that long ago when we were recording. He's been in all kinds of different stuff, but what I always think of him is Pirate Steve in freaking Dodgeball.
Yes.
That's all what I think of, most immediately.
I would agree with that, because when I saw it, I was like, I'm terrible with names. So luckily they had a picture, and I was like, "Oh, Pirate Steve, yes!" But then, when I actually looked at the picture, I was like, "Oh wait, he's in a shit ton of other stuff too," and I just can't none of that pops in my head.
He's probably like, "Wow, no matter what I do, I cannot get away from."
If that's the case, Alan, I'm totally sorry that we kind of just continue to harper on that stereotype for you.
Can you imagine that would be though? It's like you're trying to break into serious stuff, and you're like, "Hey, you're the guy that played Pirate Steve," and he's like, "Damn it!"
As long as the casting people are still picking him, I think he's okay.
So
but that would be a little bit all right.
It is crazy that we're kind of talking about this with him, because that's the reason why Mark Hamill actually decided to voice the Joker in the Batman animated series, because at that point he was only known for Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And so he wanted something different, and I'm not gonna lie, the Joker is probably the complete opposite of Luke. And he ended up killing it, and he's my personal favorite Joker, bar none. So
he does crazy real well.
Yeah, he does do crazy really, really well. And he has the look down too.
Yeah.
So part of me is slightly disappointed, because I always, whenever there is a animated Joker, I always want Mark, just because I know instantly it's going to be great. But again, I'm always open to different variations and giving different actors, especially if they're good voice actors, a chance to see how they do. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, it is a second question though on the Harley voice cast, because Harley has a distinct voice too, and she's being voiced by
Is that Tara Strong?
no, I can never pronounce her last name from The Big Bang Theory.
I remember hearing about that, right?
Yeah, what?
Kaylee Cuoco?
Cuoco? Yeah, I can never pronounce her last name, but yes, she's the one voicing Harley. And again, these are two very distinct voices, and to have kind of two question marks on them, it again brings a question mark just on the whole show altogether.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wait, so I just want to be sure. Is there both an animated and a live action Harley Quinn show coming to DC?
I think it's just the animated.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
That's gonna be freaking insane. Do not make a
I don't think that
animated and a live action.
I think I just got confused.
I think the people's issue was we're getting an animated show, a live action movie. Multiple live action movies, and it's again with DC, it's all over the place. But I think as far as the streaming service goes, it's just the animated series.
That's great.
Let's see, and then the last topic that we have here, which I find to be the most random thing in the world, but it is what it is. Hans Zimmer will go ahead and score the new SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which I read up on it a little bit. The new movie will be about SpongeBob meeting his friends for the first time in Bikini Bottom. I will say, not that I plan on seeing it, but as long as he doesn't meet Sandy the squirrel, because we already have an episode of him meeting her as an adult, I don't want him to then meet her as a child and it to be conflicting. But other than that, this isn't about that. I find it very odd that Hans Zimmer is going to score a SpongeBob movie. But I also think this might be the greatest score for any of the SpongeBob movies now.
I mean, it's gotta be.
Yeah,
I was just thinking he's probably my favorite composer, soundtrack artist of all time. So, yeah, I've been trying to
it's hard to
conceptualize it in my
reconcile
head.
the idea of this guy who makes he did the Batman soundtrack, the Man of Steel. He did Interstellar, even the Pirates.
It's like
Inception,
Lion King.
He did Lion King soundtrack, so it's hard to reconcile.
It's kind of like, how dramatic is SpongeBob gonna be?
That's what I'm saying, because all of these movies are. I mean, granted, The Lion King still is a children's movie and it's animated, but there's drama and there's some hard-hitting moments in that. What the hell is baby SpongeBob about to be going through in his life that we're gonna be needing these?
The depth that he's capable of.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we posted that on the Facebook page, and it was just the oddest thing, the oddest pairing I think I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
What did they say to him to convince
right?
him to score? That's what I want to know. Because this guy seriously has his choice to do whatever he wants. He doesn't even have to keep his word. He was like, no, I don't want to do the Justice League thing. I've given up superhero movies. By the way, I'll do this, this, and this. It doesn't matter. He's got his choice of whatever. So what did they say to him to convince him to be like, you know what I want? I want to do the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah,
his agent's probably like, Hans, don't do that. He's like, we're doing SpongeBob.
I can't remember, but I was reading the article and they were talking about the other movies he set to set the score for, and they're all just serious, adult or teenage to adult movies, and then you just have SpongeBob in the middle of them, and it's
you just need a change of pace,
I guess.
Keep the creative juices flowing by doing something just completely separated from anything else he'd be working on for the next couple of years.
I just want to know, did he lose a bet? With one of his other composers, sorry, Hans, you lost it. You're composing SpongeBob And he's like, okay. Or did they just happen to have the best like people to pitch in the world? And he's like, I'm convinced.
Maybe
SpongeBob's
his
the way
kids
to go.
loved it, and oddly enough, he saw enough of it that he's a fan.
I don't think anybody who's seen enough of that show could be a fan, but
just said maybe.
Let's see. How old are his kids? Because I feel like
I don't know. I'm just grandkids. Whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess it could be grandkids. But again, the only reason we're talking about this is it's just the oddest pairing. There's really nothing more to add to that because obviously we're not really going to hear much until we get a trailer. And I don't even think the trailer is expected to come out until like late next year. So definitely it's an odd thing, but I would like to, if you guys are, again, watching and listening, I would love to hear your opinion on, are you excited to hear George, go ahead and score SpongeBob? How many great tracks do you think he can provide to an under the sea, world? I'm excited to see that or hear that.
Release a trailer, somebody needs to remix it with the Inception soundtrack or the Interstellar music.
I wonder, is he gonna keep
the same theme
from the show and stuff, and somehow make it mesh
right?
Create his new thing, but kind of keep that. So are we going to be hearing beats of that, but it's something? Because I have no idea what's going to be going on.
When I think SpongeBob, the one song that kind of just sticks in my head all the time is I can't remember the words, but it's the "Sunning in the moonlight, sunning in the sunshine," that one. That's the SpongeBob song that when I think of SpongeBob and music, that's the one that always pops in my head, and I just can't imagine George putting that in a movie.
You mean Hans?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I can't imagine him putting that in a movie.
Yeah, I just don't know what's going on. I'm really interested though. That is. I mean, I am not going to see this movie. I'm telling you guys straight up. I'm not going to see it. But I will pull up on Spotify the soundtrack because I'm curious.
Yes.
Or how they release things. Maybe they won't release it early. Sometimes they release
stuff early.
They generally do. I don't know. I don't know if they do that for
should be a big enough
movies.
Movie.
I don't know. It is crazy though.
It's the third or fourth SpongeBob movie, so
yeah,
they raking a lot of money with those. But yeah. So that's kind of the end of our topics today. I thought
on a very random note.
But, yeah, I thought we'd end on kind of a fun. Random, note and just have a little fun there. But definitely, that's all we have to talk about today. Definitely want to thank everybody for watching, listening, however you're taking in the content. We certainly appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. You guys have probably heard it from not just us, but everybody that does podcasts, social media. We're there. Come find us. And don't forget to interact with us. Give us suggestions on what you guys would like for us to talk about. I know on our Facebook page, it's kind of gotten a little bit more ramped up recently where our followers will post stuff that they're interested in, and we'll kind of talk about that as well or comment on it. But again, want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Ditto. See you guys next time.